Okay, let's dive right in. When a disaster strikes, a hurricane, an earthquake, some kind of global crisis, what's the one thing everyone needs, almost as much as food or water? It's information. Good, reliable, life-saving information. But in the world we live in now, that very thing is under constant attack.
And look, the stakes just couldn't be higher. The International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies puts it perfectly. Harmful information isn't just some minor annoyance. They call it a compound risk. What that means is it takes an already terrible situation and just makes it catastrophically worse. It disrupts aid, it creates panic, and it literally costs lives.
Now, let's add a massive complication to all this. Right now, it's estimated that almost a third of everything you see online is generated by AI. And that number? It's skyrocketing. So when reality itself can be faked at scale, how in the world do we find the truth in all that noise, especially when every single second counts? That is the question we're digging into here. To solve this, we first have to understand why the old ways of doing things just aren't working anymore. I mean, the whole nature of this information crisis has changed, and frankly, our tools just haven't kept up. What's really interesting here is how it breaks down this mismatch. Traditional fact-checking is great, but it's just too slow. By the time a fact check comes out, the rumor has already spread around the world. Then you've got content moderation, but that often breaks down because the very people who need to see it don't trust the moderators. And awareness campaigns? Well, they're fine when things are calm, but in the middle of a high-stress disaster, they're just not enough. So if the old tools are broken, what's the new plan? Well, it all starts with a pretty radical shift in how we think, a complete reframing of what information even is during a crisis. And this right here, this is the new paradigm. We need to start treating our information environment the same way we treat the power grid or the water supply. It's not just content, it's critical infrastructure. It's absolutely essential for survival, and it has to be protected and maintained with that same level of seriousness. Okay, so that sounds good in theory, but how do you actually build and protect this new kind of infrastructure? Well, that's where the Phoenix platform and its core, the Synergy engine, enter the picture. So try not to think of Phoenix as just an app or a website. It's much bigger. It's more like a global architecture, a whole digital environment that's built from the ground up to help us think together, to share knowledge we can all trust, and to coordinate a real response when everything's going sideways. Let's just break this down to make it super clear. If the Phoenix platform is the what, the overall system, the big digital space we're working in, then the Synergy engine is the how. It's the smart, collaborative brain inside Phoenix that does the heavy lifting of organizing information and helping lots of different groups make sense of the chaos together. So, how does this actually build a resilient information ecosystem? Phoenix is designed with a multi-layered defense system to protect this new critical infrastructure. Let's walk through the 4 key layers. All right, the first layer is all about one thing: speed and accuracy. In a crisis, those first reports are almost always a mess of confusion. This layer is designed to cut right through that fog of war and fast. The really crucial thing here is that no single source is trusted blindly. The system is always triangulating information. It's taking reports from people on the ground, trusted volunteers, local leaders, and it's cross-referencing them with things like satellite images and official data. Then it uses AI to spot the most dangerous rumors that need to be tackled right now. It's all about getting verified alerts out fast. The second layer, though, goes way beyond just fact-checking individual posts. This is about building a stable, shared picture of reality that everyone involved can trust and actually work from. This is such a perfect metaphor: swarm intelligence. Think of a flock of birds. There's no single bird in charge, right? Yet they move as this one coherent, intelligent group. The Synergy engine lets humans do that. Lots of different people, scientists, aid workers, community members, can all plug in their piece of the puzzle. And it works because of radical transparency. Everybody can see where the information came from and how a conclusion was reached. This process doesn't just debunk one little rumor. It builds a strong shared map of the situation. And it helps everyone spot coordinated disinformation campaigns before they can really get going. Now, this next layer is fascinating because it recognizes that information isn't just about data points and facts. It's about people. A crisis is an incredibly scary, stressful time, and that makes all of us vulnerable to bad information. So Phoenix is actually built with trauma-informed principles in mind.
It uses AI to help shape messages that aren't just accurate, but are also calm, clear, and supportive, actively working to reduce panic. And crucially, it empowers the people who are often the most effective messengers, trusted local figures, teachers, religious leaders, community organizers. They become anchors of reliable communication in the storm. And finally, we get to the fourth layer. This is our high-tech shield against the most sophisticated threats. The stuff that used to be sci-fi, but is now, well, just a daily reality. Yeah, this is the heavy-duty tech. We're talking about advanced systems that can sniff out deepfakes and manipulated photos. We're talking about digital identity tools that prove a message really came from an official source. And maybe most importantly, something called content provenance. Just think of it like a digital birth certificate for a piece of information. It attaches a traceable history to verified content so you can always see where it came from and know it's the real deal. So, when you put all four of those layers together, you start to see a picture that's so much bigger than just fighting misinformation. This is really about building an entirely new foundation for how we collaborate on a global scale. This quote just nails the whole philosophy. See, the goal isn't just to ask people to please trust the authorities. The goal is to build an environment where trust is the natural result. It's baked into the very architecture of the system through transparency, participation, and constant verification. So, the huge takeaway here is this. Phoenix isn't just a better fact-checking tool. It's a fundamental shift in strategy. The key insight is that we have to move from a reactive model of always chasing lies to a proactive one where we build a trustworthy information infrastructure from the very beginning. And that leaves us with a final and pretty urgent question. As AI continues to blur the lines between what's real and what isn't, can we truly afford to treat our shared understanding of reality as anything less than the most critical piece of infrastructure we have?